A lot of you that are familiar with my channel know that I love Manjaro. Correction, loved Manjaro. I say that in past tense because I will never recommend Manjaro as a distribution again. I have my reasons. I'm going to give you a few of those reasons, but I do want to point out about a month ago I did a video saying, Manjaro, why did you do this to me? And then about a week ago in my double feature, I let you all know that Manjaro seemed to have fixed some of the issues, but not entirely. That's what we're going to cover today on Ebuzz Central. Today's video is made possible by the Ebuzz Central store. Do you like using Linux, and do you like showing your pride in using Linux? Well, this is the store you need to go to. We have everything from Arch to Debian-based, Ebuzz Central merch, sudo apt-get install alive, our base Linux with just the penguin, our Kali-inspired dragon t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, you name it, we have it. And of course, one of my favorites, it's okay if you don't like Linux, not everyone has good taste, our Linux Mint-inspired gear, our Ubuntu-inspired gear, and of course, one of my favorites, the Manjaro. I just love the way the green pops on the black. If you're a fan of Fedora, we've got you covered. And one of my newest favorites, don't try this at. And of course, for you distro hoppers out there, losing my mind one distro at a time. So if you love Linux, you love using Linux, and you want to show that love by wearing some apparel, or maybe grabbing a sticker, a mug, a hat, whatever you might like, all you got to do is zip on over to the Ebuzz Central store. And please do me a favor. If there's something you would like to see on the store, drop it in the comments below and we'll see if we can get it up there for you. So what we're going to do is zip on over and take a look at some information real quick. Now, we are at the Manjaro website. And as you've noticed over the last 12 to 18 months, their site has got exponentially nicer. And as you can also tell, they're starting to sell their own mini PCs. And they've also been doing their development for the Pine phone. There's your Ryzen 7 that they're pressing, the UM700 gaming mini PC. It almost seems like they're becoming more interested in hardware than they are the software. They want it to run on your laptop, your mini PCs, your Pine phones. But at the same time, I think in doing this, they're weakening their operating system. That's an opinion, because there are so many problems coming up with their operating system that people are getting overlooked when they've got the answers to fix the problems, that they're almost cutting the community completely out. And let me explain. We're going to zip on over to their desktop. And when you boot into Manjaro, this is off of a virtual machine, obviously. Right off the bat, I used to recommend this distribution for beginners. Now, there are a lot of people that would come up into my comments when I spoke about Manjaro and say, I'm having issues, and I would just tell them, I'm not having issues, must be you. Well, guys, it wasn't you, and I do apologize. This is brand new. I just downloaded this. It's the most recent packages. I'm going to zip over here, and I am going to log out so we can go to the login screen. Log out. Now, out of the box, I would tell a beginner, go download Manjaro, throw it on a USB, and take it for a test drive. Well, when you go down here to desktop session, it automatically defaults to Wayland. Now, guys, Wayland has got a long way to go, in my opinion. It's not perfect, but when I was running Manjaro about a month ago and I did the update, it defaulted to Wayland and completely and utterly just broke everything, okay? Now, that wasn't the only issues that I was having, but Wayland was a big part of my editing video issues. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to go back to the desktop. Now that we're back on the desktop, I'm going to go ahead and close out of the welcome screen and zip down. I want to point out audio, because one thing you're going to notice out of the box now is when you download Manjaro, boot into it, or you install it, Pipewire is your default audio handler. If you are a creator like me, or if you're just somebody that likes doing audio work, Pipewire does not play friendly with Audacity. It doesn't play friendly with Shotcut, because you get no waveforms. Everything is just flat. It looks horrible. Not to mention, 90% of the time, the audio doesn't work. And in my video from a month ago, and I will link that video at the end of this video, it was completely locking my system up. You had to completely remove Pipewire, then reinstall Pulse, and even then you were having issues because there were dependencies that were missing or too many dependencies. It was just a nightmare. I found some of these problems, and I pointed some of these problems out. I went to the forums, and I shared these problems. I even emailed developers with Manjaro to say, here's the fix, because I love this distribution so much. Let's get this fixed. And I was basically, in no uncertain terms, told to screw off. We don't want your help. We don't need your help. And what it reminded me of, if y'all remember 8 to 10 years ago, when Ubuntu was really kicking, Ubuntu was popular. They had the GNOME desktop environment. Then they switched to Unity. Then they wanted to launch Ubuntu One cloud storage. And then they wanted to launch the Ubuntu Touch phone. They kind of spread out and just tried to become this big corporation and forgot where they came from. And that's one of the reasons I believe Ubuntu's fell way behind in the community. And that's one of the reasons I truly believe that Manjaro's going to eventually fall behind in the community. Now, thinking I was the only one that had been treated this way by the Manjaro team, I was quite mistaken when I got a comment that I want to share with you all right now. It's a rather lengthy comment, so please bear with me. But this is from Matthew Moore over at Tech Cafe. I got it about 5 days ago, and he basically said, I used to be a Manjaro fanboy. I used it since it was only in beta. I've also collaborated on the project with their developers on multiple occasions and even maintained a Manjaro spin of my own. I gave up on Manjaro a few years ago after bumping heads with their developers. There were bugs in Manjaro that didn't exist in stock Arch or anywhere else as far as I could tell. Grub issues, audio issues, theme issues, the list is long. After reporting these bugs to the lead developer who I was in direct contact with as a collaborator, I was outright ignored. Now, I know how he feels. And we're talking about years ago, but we still have that issue right now. And isn't the community the most important part of a Linux distribution? If you disagree, please let me know in the comments below. The community is the one that uses the distribution. The community is the one that supports the distribution. They send in the donations. They help out. Not to mention, Manjaro has had issues with SSL certificates and security issues along the way. So he goes on to say, so I posted it to the forums where many other people started chiming in with the same problem. The head developer commented on that thread and pretty much told all of us that we didn't know what we were talking about. This is what prompted me to make my own spin. I put out my own version of Manjaro that didn't have these bugs, mostly just to prove my case that these bugs exist and that I knew how to fix them. My unofficial spin actually had more downloads than Manjaro's main edition the first week I released it. The Manjaro developer called me a cancer on the community and then still refused to accept my bug fixes. The forum thread regarding these bugs was locked by him. Nobody else could comment on them. A month later, I found my code in Manjaro XFCE edition. The same code I was insulted for creating. The same code I was told made me a cancer on the community and now being used by the same people. Talk about hypocrisy. They took credit for the fixes, of course. They claimed it was their code, but I still had the original GitHub repository to prove that it wasn't. And to all my viewers out there, I have verified it. Apparently, it's common practice for them to take code from others and claim it as their own. For example, their fancy Grub bootloader was lifted directly from Antics. I knew that, and I figured that out about 2 weeks ago. Anyways, they took credit for my work while simultaneously smearing my name on their forums. This really made me mad. But like I said, this sort of thing was common among those developers. Now, I had heard in the past, primarily before I switched to Manjaro, about some problems 2014, 2015-ish, where a bunch of developers had just up and left the distribution, but I hadn't really paid much attention to it. He kind of brings it back up in this comment. This sort of nonsense was the source of all kinds of drama surrounding the Manjaro developer community. It actually caused lots of contributors to drop the project like a hot potato. Forex did a story on it back in 2014, which is still up if you want to go look at it. Manjaro Linux developers experience a mass exodus. That is a true story. I just read it the other day. If you want, I'll link it in the description below. I believe it's still archived on their site if you want to read it. The bottom line, Manjaro has bugs that no other distro has, not even stock Arch. They simply don't know how to leave well enough alone, and when you report these bugs, you get treated poorly for it. Now you all may be thinking this guy is dramatic. This guy right here is just going off the deep end. He's not happy, so he's taking it out on Manjaro. Well, viewers, let me explain something to you. Troy Holt at Ebuzz Central has had his account, his forum account on Manjaro, blocked and locked out. I can no longer participate in asking or answering questions on the forum because of an email that I sent stating that I could help fix a problem, and they did not want to listen to me. So I will no longer recommend Manjaro. I don't know why they feel the need to be this way. They have pretty much just told the community that they don't care about us. And if we have input, they don't want to hear the input. They could care less. So guess what? I could care less. If the Manjaro OS never makes another appearance on my channel, it'll be way too soon. But I am going to recommend something. I'm going to recommend something from a community that loves input. I'm going to recommend something from a distribution that loves its users and will take input from its users. And that distribution is Linux Mint. Not just Linux Mint, but Linux Mint Debian Edition 5, the newest release. You might be saying, well, you're going from Arch to Debian. If you want to stick with Arch, try something like Endeavor or Arco Linux. That's your prerogative. You can do that. What I'm doing is trying to put people in line with a community that welcomes you, a distribution and developers that care about your input, a distribution and developers who, when you offer a fix, will thank you for that offer and thank you for your input and stay with you and be there for you, as opposed to telling you, hey, screw off. This is Linux Mint Debian Edition 5. It's a beautiful distro. If you go right up here and right click, you can create a folder, you can change your desktop background, you can customize it. And let's check out some backgrounds here. Your base, good looking Linux Mint wallpapers. I'm going to leave the one that's there up. What I want to do real quick is let's pull up settings. And your settings open up. Let's go ahead and maximize that so you can see it. You've got software sources, firewall, users and group, system info. Let's zip on down here. Right now, operating system is Linux Mint Debian Edition 5, LC. Cinnamon version 5.2.7. Your kernel version is 5.10.0-12. A lot of people out there are going to go, but we're on kernel number 5.17. Really? 5.10 runs really well on an Asus ZenBook that I have. Had a little issue with the keyboard on it. Did an update. No problems anymore. The graphics look good. Guess what? It's running X11. Thank you. Okay, don't have to worry about something that might be screwy when I'm trying to do my video editing or anything like that. Comes with Pulse Audio out of the box. Okay, and then if you come down here, you can go ahead and you can see that you've got accessories, you've got your disks, document viewer, graphics, internet, Thunderbird, transmission, Office. You've got LibreOffice out of the box. Sound and video, you've got celluloid, hypnotics, administration, preferences. Now, one thing I do want to point out while I open up the terminal here, I have about 3 gigabytes of RAM issued to this machine. I want to see if they have HTOP installed, and they don't. Let's try top. Yes, they do. Let's go ahead and maximize that. And out of the 3 gigs, I'm sitting at about 647 megabytes being used, which, quite honestly, on the Cinnamon desktop is pretty nice. It's not as light as some of the XFCE distributions I've seen, but it's still just over half a gig, which is really nice. It's light. You can use it on older systems and you'll be just fine. One thing I do like that Linux Mint is doing is keeping the Linux Mint Debian Edition alive. One of the reasons I say that is because I want to see a day to where Linux Mint is not based on Ubuntu anymore. That's my personal preference. That's my personal opinion. I want to go ahead and open up the file manager here, and I like the file manager. I like the rounded corners up top. And you've got your usual suspects over here. You got your home folders right here. You know, it's your typical desktop environment. Cinnamon is solid. Cinnamon gives you your shortcuts over here, and then, of course, your main applications right here. Now, one thing I do want to point out. If you download Linux Mint Debian Edition 5, it's a 1.9 gigabyte download. And it has everything you need. Everything from calculator, file manager, pics, document scanner. You got Thunderbird, web apps, transmission, Firefox web browser, Office. You got LibreOffice out of the box, sound and video. We've already went through all that. If you download Manjaro, it's almost 3.6 gigabytes. But it's supposed to be an operating system based on the bleeding edge of Arch. I don't buy it. Like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm here to support communities that want to support us as a community, us as Linux users. And when you come up with something and you can help fix a problem and they don't want to listen to you and basically tell you to screw off, I think it's time for us to move on. Manjaro users out there, that I'm not going to change your mind. I respect you for using it. I just want to give you that information. And those of you that are using Manjaro or have had issues with Manjaro in the past, Linux Mint Debian Edition is definitely an option, so just keep that in mind. If you want to stick with Arch, try an Endeavor, try an Arco, something like that. If you get a chance, please swing on by the Ebuzz Central store, check it out. If you see something you like, go ahead and pick it up. If there's something you would like to see on the store that's not there, please drop that in the comments below and let us know. Do me a favor before you leave today. Please like, subscribe, or follow my channel. Doesn't cost anything, and if you end up not liking me, you can always unsubscribe. If you like the channel and enjoy the videos that we are producing, you can support us by becoming a member to the channel, buying us a cup of coffee, or better yet, becoming a patron to the channel over on Patreon. Those links will be in the description below. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you in the next video.